Like Ms. Desiree said, my name is Shawnti. I'm with Breaking the Silence. I have a quick presentation for you today. We're going to go over mental health, mental illness, and a little bit about suicide prevention. So before we do that, I'm excited to be here today to talk with you about mental health. Breaking the Silence is a nonprofit organization, and we talk about the importance of mental health, provide knowledge on mental illness, and suicide awareness. One of our goals is to break down the barriers and stigma that surrounds mental health in order to normalize the conversation, reduce the fear and shame that keeps people from reaching out for help. Starting off, we have our objectives. We're going to define the difference between mental health and mental illness. We want to understand the different types of stress and how it can affect your mental health. And we're going to identify what would stop somebody from reaching out for help with their mental health. So the mental health definition is our mental health is our emotional, psychological, behavioral, and social well-being. It's all about how people think, feel, act, and behave. Our mental health impacts how we act. It also determines how we handle the life stressors around us. It's important from every stage of life, from childhood to adolescence to adulthood. Mental illness, the difference actually in mental illness is that it is a brain disorder that can significantly disrupt a person's thinking, feeling, mood, and ability to relate to others. So mental illness, 50% of all lifetime mental illnesses begin by the age of 14, and we now know that 75% of mental illnesses begin by the age of 24. We have the factors on what makes someone susceptible to developing a mental illness. It could be a range of factors. I have a list of factors here on the screen, and it could be either a single one of these or it could be a multitude, combination of them. We have biological, environmental, psychological, social and cultural, lifestyle, and developmental. So speaking to just three individual specific factors, we have our family history. It is common to have a family member who has previously or currently struggles with a mental illness. Some mental illnesses can be genetic and passed down from generation to generation. Now, speaking to the brain chemistry specifically, neural networks involving chemical signals that send messages to your brain can be impaired due to certain circumstances, which means you can be susceptible to developing a mental illness. And lastly, we have life experiences. Significant stressors or traumas that one endures in our life can alter areas in our brain, especially in a time when the brain is still developing. So next, I'm going to talk about the mental health spectrum. Now, this slide is going to be a tool that a lot of the mental health providers utilize when kind of diagnosing and when kind of checking in with somebody who may be struggling with their mental health. We have a slide here, and I'm going to just go through quickly and kind of describe each of these zones. So something to make note of in the mental health spectrum, it is fluid. So any one of us can be in any one of these zones at any given point in our lives. We have 4 zones here. We have the healthy zone, the change zone, the down zone, and the ill zone. So majority of us throughout our lives, we kind of live in this healthy zone. That's going to be when we're feeling okay, where we have healthy eating and sleeping habits. We enjoy our favorite hobbies and kind of spending time with those people around us. Now, let's say something happens that we get into an argument with somebody, or maybe our dishwasher breaks. Something happens in our life to where there's a little bit of a stressor, or something stressful happens to us. So that's when our mental health can move into this change zone. And it's going to be during this time that our mental health can have, kind of a slight impact, not really anything too major, too significant, but it's going to be during this time we're going to have unwanted thoughts, maybe feeling sad, upset, frustrated, maybe even angry. But a lot of this time, things tend to go away once the situation resolves itself. Either we aren't arguing with anyone anymore, we call somebody to fix our dishwasher, and everything goes back and we move back into the healthy zone. So like I said, this is where a lot of people kind of hang out most of the time. This is where their mental health will be at any given time, is going to be this healthy and this change zone, this green and yellow zone. During this time, if you are struggling, what we recommend is practicing healthy self-care and social supports. So social supports is going to be the people that you rely on, the people that are close to you, kind of friends, family, the people who help you celebrate your wins, and the people who you talk to for advice and guidance and support. Your self-care activities are more than just bubble baths and face masks. It could be walking out in nature, it could be journaling, it could be listening to music, making art. It's just a range of different activities that you can practice to get yourself back to the healthy zone, to kind of the equilibrium point in the mental health spectrum. So moving on. Now let's say something happens in your life, you have a change, but you're relying on your self-care and your social supports, and that's not working for you. You're still struggling with some unwanted thoughts. Maybe you are struggling to concentrate, can't focus, maybe feeling some really down feelings, some really sad feelings for 2 or more weeks. That's when we would be in the down zone. That's when we move into this orange zone in the mental health spectrum. During this time, you may begin to lose hope, maybe your sense of self-worth. You may lose interest in your hobbies that you once enjoyed practicing. And so during this time, we recommend getting professional help and treatment. And that could be a number of things. It doesn't necessarily just mean talk therapy. There are several different options that New Mexico has that you can reach out to for support. If something happens that you don't speak out to somebody during those 2 weeks and you're having these kind of sad, depressed, loss of interest, can't concentrate, loss of focus feelings, we can risk moving into the ill zone. And the ill zone is the most critical zone because it requires immediate attention. During this time, this is when somebody is going to be feeling completely out of control. They won't be able to kind of focus on anything. They're kind of having a loss of interest in life. So during this time, they're unable to cope with their negative feelings, their negative emotions, kind of losing control of their behaviors. You want to absolutely get help as soon as possible during this time. It's very critical that you reach out to 911, 988, or any of the mental health crisis lines that we have provided. Get immediate help, check into a hospital, just so that way you can get the help and support that you may need in order to move back into the other zones. So we all know what stress is, and we all face stressors from time to time, but there are actually good and types of stress that we can relate to. So the good type of stress is actually called eustress, and that's eustress. And so eustress is good because it helps us get things done. It keeps us motivated. It helps us when we're feeling excited about something. That's when stress is good for our body. Now, when stress is bad for our body, it can take an impact on our mental health because it can make us vulnerable and susceptible to developing a mental illness. The reason why is because that stress puts our body in constant overdrive. So our body is, really heightened, really on edge, and we can really start to become into the danger zone. So there are 2 types of toxic stress, the bad stress. There's going to be acute stress and chronic stress. And so just kind of taking the word acute stress, it's going to be where the stress is in the body and it's for a shorter amount of time. Kind of think our fight, flight, or freeze response time. And then the chronic stress is going to be over a longer period of time where our body is in overdrive, and we're constantly on edge. This is where kind of most of the damage is done during the unhealthy stress. Stress can look like in the body. Stress can show up in multiple ways. It's not only going to be mental or physical, it could also be emotional. So just some quick examples of that is going to be emotional stress is going to be kind of our negative feelings, kind of the synonyms that go along with how we're feeling unhappy, maybe we're feeling frustrated, angry, nervous, uncomfortable. The way that mental stress can show up in the body is going to be can't concentrate, maybe not feeling as sociable with others. That's going to be when you're feeling like things are kind of out of control, maybe not clear, not having a lot of clarity in your life. And then lastly, physical stress. We're all probably pretty familiar with what physical stress looks like in the body: sweaty palms, upset stomach, headaches, kind of tense muscle aches. So these are all the ways that stress can show up in our body. Next, we have, speaking of the mental health spectrum I just covered with you all, the 4 different zones. If any of the warning signs that I talked about, that I mentioned, if any of them do occur for you, I want you to check in with yourself when you're reaching out for help and support. And I would like you to ask the following questions. How intense are these behaviors, thoughts, or emotions? Do they feel strong? Do they feel medium? Do they feel weak? We also ask, how often do these behaviors, thoughts, and emotions occur? Are they happening multiple times a week, multiple times a day, or only a couple times a month? How long do these individual periods or episodes last? Are they lasting minutes, hours, maybe even days, maybe even weeks? And then last, we ask, how well are you functioning at home, at school, if you are a school-age person, or with your friends and your family and the people in your community? So these are all important questions to ask yourself if you are experiencing this, or maybe if you want to share this information with somebody that you know. These are important questions to ask yourself while you're seeking out support and treatment. So we ask this question in our presentations during our lessons: what keeps people from reaching out for help with their mental health? And we kind of leave it up to the audience to kind of share with some ideas about what would stop somebody from reaching out for help. I have several, actually, that I'd like to share with you all. So stigma. Stigma, for those of you that don't know, is a polite word for discrimination. We also have the lack of support and understanding. Maybe somebody wouldn't want to reach out for help with their mental health because the people that they're reaching out to don't know about mental health or mental illness. Maybe they don't understand the signs and the symptoms that go along with specific mental illnesses. We have shame. You know, it's a lot of people, a lot of the times in our culture, it's shameful to be having these negative experiences or these emotions. You know, it's kind of something that should be kept within the family and not to share with anybody else because it's shameful to be experiencing this. That kind of goes with our cultural upbringing later on in the list there. But a lot of the times being worried about being bullied or teased, we don't want other people to judge us, you know, about what we're facing, what we're going through. People not treating mental illness like a physical illness. Your brain is an organ in your body just like any other part of your body, and it can get sick as well. The same way that you can break your leg, something could be wrong with your brain. So sometimes you need that extra help and support with your mental health. And then I mentioned vulnerability and not understanding symptoms. Affordability is actually on there as well, especially in rural areas. Affordability can impact mental health and how someone gets help. You know, a lot of the other communities aren't as supportive. We see that with Native American communities, don't get as much support as some of the metropolitan areas that actually do get support. So the way that we recommend that we end stigma is to have proper education, get into schools, get into, talk to our neighbors, make sure that the people around us know what's going on and can find out maybe they might be struggling with this themselves. Proper education, sharing real life examples, experiences. We need to normalize the conversation about what's going on, about our mental health in our groups and our people that are around us. And then also listen and support others without shame and without judgment. And lastly, we want to celebrate others who have overcome their challenges with their mental health. So speaking specifically now to suicide, we have at Breaking the Silence, we recommend these 4 steps to anybody who might have shared with you that they are thinking of killing themselves. And so these are the 4 steps. You want to stay with the person. Unless they are posing a physical threat to you or your safety, stay with them. Really be next to them and listen to them. Listen to what they have to say. Maybe consider calling a crisis line for them. I have, like I said earlier, I have a list of resource cards that you're welcome to take. They are in the resource room, but they have a number of different crisis lines, text lines, lines local to New Mexico, national lines that somebody can reach out to if they're struggling. Take them seriously, even if you think they're joking. You know, this is something that it shouldn't be joked about, but you know, it really doesn't take an expert to really ask someone and listen to them and say, hey, are you okay? Maybe it's just me, but is there something else going on? Do you want to talk? And lastly, be brave and call for help immediately. If you ever find yourself in that situation to where somebody is sharing with you that they're thinking of hurting themselves, get help immediately. I know it could be hard to break someone's confidence. Maybe they're sharing with you that they're, you know, struggling, and for you not to share it with anyone else. but be brave and just reach out for support as soon as possible. Luckily, we now have this resource, 988. It's a great alternative to 911. Please don't think I'm putting down 911, but also, 988 is a great resource to reach out to if you're ever in this type of situation. So these are the 4 steps that we recommend. That actually concludes everything for me. If you are interested, you can follow us online. We are presenting to schools across the state. We are teaching this information to young people. We also do tabling events and we do fundraisers as well. So we have our QR codes. You can reach out to us on the back of our resource cards. We have our social media platforms on there as well. And yeah, that's it. Yeah, so here are some resources as well that we like to share. But besides that, my name is Shawnti. Thank you so much for listening, for your time and attention. I appreciate it.